Soon may the wellerman come, bring us coffee, tea, and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fair in the sun of town, her hair was blonde and her dress was brown. Soon may the wellerman come around.
There's a steady west wind blowing down the creek, and I plan on riding it all the way out the mouth of Crooked Creek to a small island. This peaceful downwind sailing gives little indication of the adventure that is to come. A day of sailing and exploring these waters often begins perfectly peacefully, and then before you know it, you're in the midst of an adventure. And of course, adventure begins when the trouble begins. Like many creeks in this area, Crooked Creek is really the intersection of Crooked Creek and a lesser creek. The two creeks are bisected by a wooded ridge. As I begin to enter the broader Crooked Creek, the wind changes direction and I'm now beam reaching, so I get the dagger board down for a little bit of lateral resistance. A short distance ahead is a boat ramp to starboard and an old sunken bridge off to port, about 80 feet off of shore. I just need to hold my beam reach long enough to squeeze between the bridge and the boat ramp, then I can turn downwind for the island. It's common for fishermen to wade out to this bridge from the boat ramp, and it looks like there's a couple of guys fishing there now. As I passed, one of them asked me if I was fishing or just out riding around.
Just riding, man. Yeah. Yeah, what are y'all fishing for? Yeah. You catch a lot on this bridge? I see people out here on it quite a bit. Yeah. Well, good luck to you.
It's kind of funny, a lot of sport fishermen out here can't fathom the idea of someone being on the water for any reason other than fishing. Sailing out the mouth of Crooked Creek, I'm now experiencing the full force of the wind, and I've got plenty of power to get out to the island. The wind continues to build, and I'm surrounded by short, sharp little waves, which feel much bigger in this tiny skiff than they would in any of my other boats. The Crooked Creek channel actually veers hard to port here, but I'm going to the island, which is straight out the mouth, and the nearer I get to the flats leading up to the island, you can see the water just gets muddier and muddier, and on this day, the wind and waves are really churning up the mud and turning the water brown near the island. I've just sailed down Crooked Creek, downwind. That was a nice long sail. The wind is out of the west today, which is a little bit uncommon. It's very common to have a southwest wind. That's probably the dominant wind direction in this area, but a west wind is a little bit uncommon, and so you can do some things that you wouldn't normally be able to. That allowed me to take a nice long downwind sail out of one of the side creeks on Crooked Creek, out to the mouth, past the mouth, and onto this island. And there's a little bit of swell coming in. It is swell as swell goes on Lake Barkley. It's a bit of waves for this boat. If I was being extra cautious, I wouldn't have sailed out here, but taking a little bit of a risk today, but having fun. And how much fun can you really have without taking some risk? But out on this island, it's interesting. You have the biggest waves that I can see anywhere on the water right here in the mouth of the creek, and then on the other side, very, very flat. And that's because the island is breaking the waves, and also, I would think, possibly blocking the wind from getting to the surface of the water over on this side. And with all these little waves running right here, it's really churning up some mud in the creek, which kind of indicates just how shallow it is right here in front of the island. All I can see is mud out for several hundred yards. We've got some big, fluffy, fast-moving clouds coming in from the west, so I'm not gonna hang out here too long. I'm just gonna row right back over to the point here and get back to the protected side creek. It's a good thing I had enough sense to leave the island when I did, because we will soon find out what could have gone wrong had I chosen to stay there even a few minutes longer. Personally, I would not try to row into this in any boat, I don't think. The waves are probably 2 foot from trough to crest, and very close together. Seeing little whitecaps out here in the creek. Definitely a waded out situation, especially in this 12-foot skiff with 11-inch wide side planking. And meanwhile, in the lee of the rocks, it's perfectly calm. This is a good place to be right now. Fishermen are still fishing on this sunken bridge over here, but man, it is very rough right now. Definitely not gonna try rowing into this or even being afloat at all. I see some sunlight coming, I think, but I also see some dark clouds, so I guess it's a matter of chance of which way it goes, sunlight or just wind all day. There's a nice rainbow forming to the east, and I'm getting some raindrops coming down now here. The weather has just been building and building out of the west. Thought I could wait it out, but I think I'm gonna have to hike back to the truck. Luckily, it's only about a mile down a gravel road, so nothing I can't handle, but I may have to come back and recover the boat tomorrow or later in the evening. Hopefully it'll let up. can see the rain coming in down the creek and the wind is not letting up, so I guess it's time to skedaddle. That's actually sleet bouncing off the road, so this may be a nasty one. I think I'm making the right decision here. Can't be more than a mile back to the truck. I've driven this road plenty of times. Yeah, the sky is looking bad. Okay, that's where the guys were fishing down there. That's the submerged bridge, and they have hauled tail out of here, so I don't feel so bad. I guess it is time to go home. Coming up on the truck in the launch site, and yeah, I definitely don't think it was more than a mile for sure. Still blowing pretty good. This channel will continue to charge along under full sail, but at cumberlandrover.com I offer videos not available on this channel or anywhere else. The videos and articles are free. I don't run ads, but I do have a store offering some unique handmade products of my own design that I think will be of interest to sailors and outdoor enthusiasts.